glad you guys are all here with us today. If you've never been to Kansas City Oasis, and this is your very first time, maybe to be here to hear Seth speak, we have an extra warm welcome from you. I know we have some people traveling from out of town, so thank you for coming. We just want to have you with extra potentials, open minds maybe, as an opportunity to come back and see us again down the road. I got my clicker here. We gather around 5 core values. Fancy, right? Look at that. People are more important than beliefs. Reality is known through reason. Human hands solve human problems. Meaning comes from making a difference. Be accepting and be accepted. And real quick, before we get into our programming today, I wanted to let you guys know we do have 2 options for our restrooms today, because I know y'all just got your coffee and your lemonade and your donuts, and eventually that's going to do some work, right? So for those of you who need it, we have our handicap accessible and our restrooms that have the child care changing tables right around the corner in our foyer, kind of near that coffee station around there. 1 toilet. Maybe 1 person at a time. I don't know, unless you're very friendly. It's up to you. No funny business. Our adventure restrooms are downstairs. I did get permission from Sarah to say that. Yes. So these ones are under construction, but don't worry, they are safe for use. We've tested them. But they are down the stairs, so you have to be stair friendly. Right down the end of the stairwell, the first 2 rooms on the left have the restrooms in there. And again, there's 1 single toilet in each room, but you know, if you want to do a little boogie while your friend's in there, I'm not going to stop you, okay? And then also just take a few moments, put that phone on silent. That way we don't have any unintended interruptions. See, look at all of you dutiful people following instructions. I appreciate you. I forget all the time. Mine just lives in silent. I don't even know where my phone is. I don't know, somewhere. I'll turn mine off later. All right, we have such a great program. It's pretty simple, guys. Seth is here. Let's give Seth a round of applause. Mr. Seth Andrews. Such a great guy. Seth is going to talk for us after the coffee break. And a musician, Mr. JJ Cantrell. Woo! Pretty much I say that every time I see JJ. So, for those of you who don't know JJ is our very own KC Oasian. I think you've been here from the beginning, if I remember.
I was aware of it from the beginning, but I didn't get on board until the 3rd Sunday.
The 3rd Sunday. We're going to give you a pass on that, okay? So JJ, take it away, my friend.
Howdy, everybody. I'm really nervous, which is weird. I don't play as much as I used to. pretty tired from the moments waiting patiently for me, always circling the coda. Mostly bored with wet and dirty, mostly worked down to the bone. More than mine, she makes up queries, while the world and I just tarry. It could be true that I'm not fair. All together now, all the king's horses paying me down. But all the man in me lets her lift up my eyes. She's tearing down my walls, if only 'cause she hates to watch me slowly fall. Slowly my heart heals as she holds me. She holds me. She's patient with my silly games, rules changing every time. A new paradigm defines me. I'm like a ship without a rudder. I've no sense to steer my wheel. It's a pain to have to feel things now, while the world and I just tarry. It could be true that I'm just fairly. All together now, all the king's horses drag me down. But all the man in me lets her lift up my eyes. She's tearing down my walls, if only 'cause she hates to watch me slowly fall. Slowly my heart heals as she holds me. She holds me. She's giving me another smile. I'm glad she's given me this while. It's not at all that I'm ungrateful. It's also new to me right now. This group of goals, the souls, we go and go and go and melt and flow downhill, while the world and I just tarry. It could be true that I'm not fairly. All together now, all together now, yeah! All the king's horses drag me down. All together now, yeah! All the king's horses drag me down. All together now, all the king's horses drag me down. But all the man in me lets her lift up my eyes. She's tearing down my walls, if only 'cause she hates to watch me slowly fall. Slowly my heart heals as she holds me. She holds me. She's pretty laying on her side, holding our lamb to her heart, letting me dream out like a lion. It's a little time, a little hope, a little while to wait and see, a little freedom from just trying. I should have got a glass of water. So as is Oasis tradition, I always try to do one song where I just learn the song that week and then play it without actually having practiced it. I'll listen to it a bunch and play it in my head. So I guess I'm practicing it in my skull, but I try not to play it. And sometimes it goes well. There's a word in there that's doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence. But I'm going to give a song called Living the Dream a try. It's by Sturgill Simpson. He's pretty cool. Time and time again, Lord, I've been going through the motions as a means to an end. The ends don't seem to mean walking around living the dream. Anytime I get the notion, till the truth comes bubbling up, bittersweet. Ain't no point getting out of bed if you ain't living the dream. It's like making a big old pot of coffee when you ain't got no cream. I don't need to change my strings, 'cause the dirt don't hurt the way I sing. I don't have to do a goddamn thing but sit around and wait to die. Waiting on an angel waitress, come and take my order. Tell me all about the special today. Staring at a puddle of mud in my spoon, couldn't get much border. Hoping them circles on paper don't call and tell me I'm starting today. That old man upstairs, Lord, wears a crooked smile, staring down on the chaos he created. He said, son, if you ain't having fun, just wait a little while. Mama's gonna wash it all away. She thinks mercy's overrated. Ain't no point getting out of bed if you ain't living the dream. It's like making a big old pot of coffee when you ain't got no cream. I don't need to change my strings, 'cause the dirt don't hurt the way I sing. I don't have to do a goddamn thing except sit around and wait to die. I don't have to do a goddamn thing except sit around and wait to die. You're the best. You're at least the best.
I'm not going to take your order, though. Sorry, I'm not a waitress today. Maybe a different day. Amazing. Wow. Can we give him another applause? JJ, amazing. I'm going to have that song stuck in my head for the rest of the day. Thank you. By the way, I see so many amazing small humans in our audience. We love them so much. If you love your child and you're like, it would be great if you were maybe not right next to me. We have a kids room for that, just in case you didn't know. There's only 4 little humans back there if you would like your human to be with them. After the coffee break, you just zip on down that little hallway and someone will be like, adorable, let me take them from you and I'll give them back later. It's one of the great things about Oasis. We love our children so very much. It's one of the reasons I've been here for almost 8 years. And celebrating birthdays, another favorite of ours. Today, Kylie Bush. Kylie, are you here? In spirit. Kylie's probably at home celebrating his birthday with his kids. Kylie, happy birthday. Tomorrow, Josh Patterson. Josh, I didn't see. Josh is probably celebrating his birthday too. I think he was one of those, okay, what's the thing happening with the sun? I can't. Thank you. I knew you guys would know the word. That eclipse of the brain is what just happened there. Ooh. Sarah, who's that? I don't know, Sarah. Sarah's our president, by the way. President Sarah, make sure you salute her for her birthday. And then our beloved Jim Fisk, he's at home with his family today on the 12th. So make sure you wish all of our friends happy birthday. We have a lot of new friends in our audience. Does anybody have a birthday this week? No? Anybody? Princess, wave us, and then we'll say happy birthday to you. Or curtsy, or hug, or high five, or whatever your thing is. We will do accordingly. Blood drive. So last week was our 5th Sunday. So if you come back and visit us for another 5th Sunday, you're like, what's the 5th thing about, Julie? I'm going to tell you. Whether you want me to or not, you're welcome. We do a service Sunday every 5th go round in the month, because it doesn't happen every month, like once a quarter. And we did a blood drive here. They brought all their stuff. This whole thing was filled with stuff. And then people bled for their Oasis in a good way, all right? I'm sure drops were spilled, but I wasn't a part of it. My heart rate was too high. They said no. I'm sorry about it. But we had 21 pints of blood donated. 9 first-time donors. Please clap for that. Thank you. Thank you. Of course, we had donuts, because that's the thing we do. We sang karaoke. Was it amazing? It depends on who was listening. Ask them. They'll tell you about it. We brought some period products for one of the local gatherers for period products in local high schools. Some of the period product needers didn't have enough, and we gathered some, and minds were blown with how many things we gathered. And we just goes to show, meaning does come from making a difference and being like, tap it like it's hot. We did that. Good job, work. Alrighty, Micah Ministries. For those of you who are new, you're like, what is that? I don't know. We, Oasians, those of us who are free on Monday evenings, 5:15 to 7:15, get together and help to serve, regardless of race, gender, religion, or non-religious affiliation, sex, sexual orientation, or any other trait. We come together and help serve those less fortunate of our neighbors. And mark your calendars, coming up on April 22nd will be Oasis Day at Micah Ministries. So I think it starts early in the morning, like 9 a.m., all the way through that 7:15 timeline. We're going to be working on meal prep, clothing sorting, all the things that need to happen all throughout the day, up until the end of the day, serving food. They're going to have us there all day long helping from Oasis. So if you're like, that sounds kind of interesting, we will have you there to join us. And remember this morning, like 15 minutes ago, when I was like, we started in 2014, it's 2024. It's been 10 years, guys. So we just had, thank you. We just had our anniversary yesterday, to be official. So we're gonna have a party, duh. And it's on Saturday. So you're like, wait, it's Sunday. Saturday's only 6 days away. That is correct. Good math. Excellent work. So right here in this very room, there will be diamonds, denim, wear whichever you prefer, mix and match. However, it's gonna be fabulous. As fancy as you want, as casual as you want. We're gonna have a DJ, we're gonna have a raffle, there will be snacks. I promise there will be chocolate, because I'll bring some, okay? Kids are welcome, families are welcome. Service animals only. I don't know how that works with the animals, but children, you can bring your kids. How about that? And we're gonna just celebrate that we've been here for 10 years, rocking it. And if that's not your thing, we're gonna go fly a kite. Several weeks from now, down the road on the 21st, out after Oasis on a Sunday afternoon, we're gonna go to Longview Community College and enjoy Flights of Fancies kite festivals. Haven't you guys been to that? Pretty fun, especially if it's just a little bit windy. Not a lot windy, but a little bit is what we want for that day. If you're like, no, I want some booze and some drinks and some darts and some pool, that's what I want, Bam, you're welcome. We got Kansas City Oasis Happy Hour. I called. You can bring your kids to this too. Depends on what kind of kids you got. Okay? My kids would probably survive. That starts at 5:30 down at Brass Rail Sports Bar. But come whenever you can. I know everybody gets off work at a different time. We'll probably be there till 8:30-ish. And for those of you who are going to be here in the summertime, does this person look familiar? Mr. Calvin Arsenia is coming. Alrighty, so Calvin will be here June 9th, and we're going to do kind of a combo musical artist featured speaker mashup. So mark your calendars. Calvin was Kansas City's best musician 2018 to 2023 for the Pitch KC Readers Poll. So kind of a big deal. And of course, an Oasis favorite as well. So don't want to miss that one. That was a lot of announcements, guys. You've made it. Good job. Okay. Be sure you're following us on all of our socials. They are right here. I will reiterate them to you later if you catch me. We've got YouTube, Insta, Facebook, and maybe TikTok. We're not TikToking much lately. Ain't nobody got time for that. We have long things, not short TikToky things. And for those of you who don't know, we're Ninja Secret on the private page. So if you're a Facebooker, and you're like, what do you mean the private page? I only know about the public page. That's because it's private. Okay, it's a secret. So this is a little bit on lockdown because we want to make sure it's people we know, people who aren't going to do weird stuff to our community, right? So no wolves in the, sheep's pen. I don't know how that works. So if you guys are here and you're like, wow, you guys seem like that girl talks a lot. Yes, everybody's accustomed to this. I'm sorry, it's your first day, okay? Find someone with a little yellow lanyard. I made sure they're already annoyed with me, we know. Find someone or someone who looks like they've been around for a while and say, do you know about this private page thing on Facebook? And they'll be like, yes. See if they are willing to send you a quick friend request. They'll invite you to the private page, and then you can be like, we don't have to be friends anymore. I don't care. Do what you want. And then you can join in on our fun discussions. We do Oasis selfies. Justin might be like, yo, I'm bringing plants today. Who wants one? And you'll be like, dibs. We do all sorts of things like that on our actual discussion part of our private page. That stuff doesn't happen in the public page, obviously, because you haven't seen it yet, right? Now you know. If you're like, Facebook is so overwhelming, I know, trust me. You could be like, yo, I'm only gonna make an Oasis account for Oasis. Did I say that right? Yeah. So it could be like JJ Oasis. That could be your name. I will allow it. And I don't know, do what you want. But join us because it's fun and we're silly and being a grown-up's hard. We know that. And if you choose not to do that, but you still want info, newsletter. We will just not spam you. We will announce what's happening. Julie just face-palmed herself. I'm sorry, Jules. It's helpful information. And if you decide it's not helpful, you can unsubscribe. How about that? We will send helpful information only when we need to. How about that? That's not spam. We will send those announcements to your email inbox with the socials going on and our upcoming events in a non-annoying way. That's it, guys. You made it. Okay, so we're gonna have a coffee break. I'm gonna go tell the kids it's the coffee break time, and then I'm gonna tell the kids' room people to expect more kids when we're done, all right? So go get some coffee, and if you didn't already say hi to 3 new people, make it 5 new people because I see lots of new faces here. So if you are a new person, make sure you're like, hey, I'm new, what's your name? And that's a fun game everybody can play. There you go. We'll see you guys back in 20 minutes. lateral outside edges. Thanks, Doug. We're live. Okay, so JJ's gonna play for us again here in a second. I hope you guys, did anybody meet someone new? Raise your hand. Look at all those beautiful hands. I fetched t-shirts and looked for my phone. It's not here. I think it's at home. That's what happens on mornings like this. Okay, phenomenal. I hope you guys did you all get some swag? I saw some books. I saw some t-shirts exchanging hands. There will be more later if you didn't. Phenomenal. If those of you still have children and would like to not have them, now is your moment. If you decide in 10 minutes that is your moment, also fine, okay? We're not gonna mind if you get up to escort that child elsewhere. We understand, we get it. Alrighty, JJ is gonna play for us again, and then it will be time. Okay, here we go.
Oh, the very first song that I played, that was called Horses, and I wrote that one in 2011. And then the second one I told you was Living the Dream by Sturgill Simpson, and I don't remember when he wrote it. Could have been forever ago. God only knows. And then this one's like really hard. And it's by Devin Townsend, and it's called Why. Watching us, but why run away? Why? Darling, are you seeing inside? The wolves are alive, and all our faith is wrong. Let me go home. But why run away? Why? And all we're feeling slowly comes unraveled. And all we're fearing comes to pull us under. But why run away? Why? So and all our faith is, our faith is ow! But why run away? Why, when we could just walk away?
Wow. JJ, amazing. I don't know how it can be happy and a little angry, but also make me feel all the feels in the same song. That's just really impressive, right? All right. Man. Okay, before we move on real quick, I was reflecting back at our break for our anniversary, right? It's kind of a big deal. Sorry, I gotta bring it up again. And I was thinking back, I bet you we had a couple people in our audience who was at our I know JJ had meeting number 3. Who was at number 1? Okay, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and a half, maybe? You were little, I'm guessing, right? Maybe? Very small, okay. And a half-ish, 3/4, maybe? A foot was there? You were there for part of it, okay. So phenomenal. Make sure you talk to these guys after our presentation and be like, what was it like there 10 years ago? Maybe not in our very own building, I bet. Lots happened since then. Alrighty, perfect, so it is almost time. As Seth gets ready to come and wow us with his magic, I would like to remind you that our program is designed to generate conversation and and also to engage your powers of reason, but not a forum to start debates. You can do that somewhere else. So please respect the views of our speaker, and if we have some time, we will have a Q&A section to follow. So that just kind of depends on how our time is flowing. So I'm going to introduce Seth as he slowly approaches. Seth is a former evangelical and Christian broadcaster. Let me get to my slide. Here we go. Who now hosts The Thinking Atheist, one of the most popular podcasts and online communities in the world. Worldwide, guys. The Thinking Atheist is not a person, it is an icon, encouraging all to reject faith and pursue reason and evidence. Seth has authored 5 books, including his latest offering, It's Here Today in the Back. Okay. Christianity Made Me Talk Like an Idiot. He also hosts a second podcast called True Stories with Seth Andrews. So we welcome you to enjoy Seth Andrews versus God, who is the better intelligent designer?
Thank you all so much for being here today. I want to respect your time. It's a weird balance because I know that many of you have other things to do, but I also know that you've taken the time and trouble to be here, so I want to find that happy medium to respect your time and honor your time in both ways. So I don't do Q&A usually with the big conventions, but in the local groups, because it's much more of a family, intimate kind of a thing, it's nice to engage. I'm not Yoda. I don't have any great wisdom, but we can always interact and engage. And if I may, you don't have to respect anything I'm going to say today. You don't. I mean, I like to say that people get respect, ideas have to earn it. And so I've got a kind of an opinion about things, and I've put some bells and whistles on them, and there'll be a lot of fun today. But agree, disagree, love, hate, whatever, it's all good. And I think ultimately I want everybody to leave here sort of smiling and saying, what if, and having a conversation flashpoint. And if that happens, I'm game, I'm good, Let me begin like this, with kind of a profound biblical beginning. Can I do that? Long ago, near the literal dawn of planet Earth, the Creator made man according to his perfect will, in his image. And since that day, men have long gazed up at the heavens and asked the question of the Creator, why did you put my testicles there? Seriously. This is one of the many questions I have about intelligent design. And I'm going to come back to this specific design between my legs here in just a second, okay? The Bible and its defenders keep saying I am molded by the hand of a perfect God. I'm the work of his hand, intelligently designed. ID is what we call this for short. It's the claim that you and I and everything around us in the living world is too complex and optimized and wonderful to have evolved by natural selection. Everything was drawn in advance. It was drawn in blueprint by a cosmic architect. According to experts from people who work for the Discovery Institute. What a great name, too. Wow, wonderful. Who doesn't want to discover new things? The Discovery Institute is not a science lab. It is not a legitimate research organization. The people at the Discovery Institute are not respected in the field of science or published in science journals. I think it happened once. It was a fluke, and the journal issued an apology 30 days later, okay? That's the Discovery Institute. They do their own thing in their own pod. They publish books, sell them in Christian bookstores, that kind of thing, okay? This is Dr. Michael Behe. He is a biochemist and a senior fellow at the Discovery Institute. He says the human eye is masterfully made. It must have been designed. I find it interesting that Dr. Behe wears scientifically developed lenses for vision correction. But his big thing is that the eye is irreducibly complex. Irreducible complexity. The model works kind of like this, okay? A system has a whole lot of distinct parts, and if you change or remove one of those parts, then it no longer functions properly. The parts are all necessary for proper usage, and I'm using the car engine analogy here. But Behe says the same thing about the human eye, and there's a diagram. Every part is properly placed. If anything is removed or changed or omitted, it does not work properly, all right? This is Dr. Stephen Meyer. He's another irreducible complexity guy. He is also a senior fellow at the Discovery Institute. He's written books like this one called Signature in the Cell, DNA, and the Evidence for Intelligent Design. He's mentioned that there is a theistic source. So he doesn't just say the deistic claim that there's something out there, the first cause, watchmaker, designer, whatever. He says there is a theistic source. Like Dr. Behe, Meyer is a Christian. He has a specific designer in mind, as he recently and helpfully pointed out in July of last year on the Joe Rogan Show, always a reliable forum for deep and probing scientific discussions. Okay. Anyway, Stephen Meyer, he says the wondrous coding of our DNA proves design. This is mathematician and philosopher Dr. William Dembski. He is a senior fellow at the Discovery Institute. Again, design and irreducible complexity. And again, he's wearing the glasses on his face. Great. All right. And of course, let's jump out of the Discovery Institute for just a second, and let's play one of the classics. Anybody know this guy? Okay. Ken Ham. Ken Ham is a young earth creationist. He founded Answers in Genesis. He runs the Creation Museum and the Ark Encounter. I have video tours of those facilities online, and they will blow your mind and probably send you to the nearest bar. But Ken says this. He's mad at the Discovery Institute, guys, because he says they shouldn't just be saying intelligent designer when it's not just a nebulous designer. It is a specific deity with a proper name. They should be quoting the book of Genesis. Ken Ham wants the credit to go where it belongs. The perfect creator of a perfect creation. And of course, Ken's got glasses on his face there. Okay, all right. The designer of the eye. We gaze into the beautiful eyes of newborn babies, and we see the master blueprint. Psalm 139:14 tells us, "For you are fearfully and wonderfully made, designed." But if we told this baby boy the details of his design and the problems they were going to cause him during his lifetime, I would suspect he would say, "What the actual hell? I would like to register a complaint," okay? I just recently narrated the audiobook version of Dr. Abby Hafer's The Not So Intelligent Designer. She's a zoologist and a human anatomy professor. She has interesting observations about the design of our eyes, and I lean heavily on her work today as well as other biologists. I am not a scientist, I'm standing on their shoulders, but I do have opinions. But a huge thanks out to Dr. Hafer for allowing me to narrate her book and for using some of her examples today. Here is a diagram of our intelligently designed eye. Light comes in through the lens on the front and it travels back to the photoreceptors at the back of the eye. Let's take a close-up look at the back of our eye specifically. You see those things I've highlighted? They're cones. They are photoreceptors that receive color, all right? And then right next to them, you'll see the rods. They are the photoreceptors that perceive black and white. But check out what's in front of those photoreceptors. A whole bunch of stuff. Several layers of other cells that do not see. They're blocking some of the light needed by the photoreceptors. But wait, it gets even better. In front of those cells, we have nerve fibers. They don't respond to light, but they sit on top of the cells that sit on top of the photoreceptors. On top of them is a series of blood vessels. They sit on top of the fibers, which sit on top of the cells, which sit on top of the photoreceptors. Where the vessels and the nerve fibers all converge is called the optic disc. This creates a literal blind spot in our vision. Here's an actual image of the eye. You can see the convergence. The vessels located right there cause a blind spot. And Dr. Hafer's book actually has a little exercise that you can use to see your own blind spot. Now, it works up close. It doesn't work on the big screen. You have to have it on paper or on a screen and hold it kind of in front of your eye. But let me show you what it is just so you see, okay? You will hold this about 18 inches in front of you, and you can Google this. Just Dr. Abby Hafer eye test, and it should pop up. You hold this about 1.5 feet in front of your eyes. Close your left eye, and you focus X directly in front of your right eye. And then move it toward your face. The O will disappear. You know which creatures do not have that blind spot? The octopus, like other cephalopods, they see better than we do. They see better in dimmer light. They recognize polarized light. And looky, the blood vessels and the nerve fibers and the helper cells are behind the photoreceptors. So the brains don't have to decode and fill in blanks and compensate because stuff is blocking the image. Why didn't you and I get this deal? Like, I have questions. Why did the intelligent designer lay the camera wiring between the lens And the imaging chip, it makes no design sense. You know, geckos have fantastic night vision. They are 350 times more sensitive to color at night than you and I are. Eagles can see the ultraviolet spectrum with amazing focus. They have distance vision of up to 2 miles. How handy would that be in traffic, right? Oh, shit. We need to exit now. It would be amazing. That would come in really handy. This is the four-eyed fish, able to see simultaneously above and below water at the same time. But let's talk about our vision beyond the observable. Let's examine and explore the possible. If I was the designer in my plan, the lenses of my eyes would not lose flexibility and make me farsighted. They wouldn't have refraction errors that made me nearsighted. I would include options for UV, maybe X-ray, infrared. I'd build in macro lenses, zoom lenses, built-in hyperfocus. Wouldn't that be nice? I don't know about you. I'm taking pictures of menus on my phone and having to stretch the freaking picture to read what's on the menu. I would make our eyes immune to allergies. How nice would that be in this part of the country? I'd give us a switch if we needed 360-degree vision. I need eyes in the back of my head, no problem, there it is. All directions. If I had to deal with glaucoma, cataracts, or whatever, some kind of degeneration, I would make our eyes modular and replaceable, like car parts. I'm sure you can think of a dozen other possible improvements. Actual intelligent design. No more glasses, no more contacts, no more LASIK surgery, no more allergy, no more blindness. Imagine. By the way, there is a cancer survivor. His name is Brian Stanley. He lost an eye to cancer when he was 4. And for decades of his life, he wore the standard prosthetic eye. But he went to college and became an engineer of medical implants, and he manufactured his own adaptation. Check this out. A titanium cyborg eye. And he's made a bunch of these that do different things. He's got lasers. One's a neon orb. There are star shapes. He's got a jack-o'-lantern for Halloween. He's got holiday options with red and green for Christmas. One of them's a flashlight. On TikTok, he shuts the lights off and he just looks and everything's illuminated wherever he looks. Imagine that. We'd never have to use our phone flashlight or a pen light. Just turn your eye on. You'd see everything in the dark. I would include that. Roughly 85% of Americans have to have their wisdom teeth pulled out because there's not enough room in the mouth. Here's a design idea. Either give us a bigger mouth or no wisdom teeth, right? It seems easy enough. We are supposed to live our entire adult lives on one set of teeth. So let's say they fall out when you're 6. Hopefully we live 70, 80, maybe 90 years. How many decades is that? One set of adult teeth. Dealing with food bacteria and decay and cavities and cracks, broken teeth, gum disease. This bad design. If it was me, I would give humans teeth like sharks. See? This Photoshop job just makes me laugh. I just always crack up when I see it. Okay, seriously, the shark. The great white shark develops a new set of teeth about every 2 to 3 weeks. They just rotate them out about twice a month. An endless supply of teeth. They do not have time to accumulate bacteria, plaque. If you chip one, wait a couple of weeks, it's gone. No problem. That seems like better design. Sharks and other ocean creatures have gills. They have the ability to breathe underwater. Why don't we have that option? We know it's possible. The African lungfish has gills for water, but they also have a modified swim bladder that acts like lungs and breathe air when they come out of the water. In humans, this option could prevent more than 230,000 needless drowning deaths every year. And speaking of breathing, I would not put the food pipe and the windpipe in the same space, like with the little flap on it. I mean, whose idea was that? What does that design flaw cost us in terms of human lives? 5,000 choking deaths per year just in this country? Here's a design complaint. Either give me hair or don't give me hair. What the heck? What is that? What is that? This half-ass, do-nothing hair of inconvenience that we are constantly. We've got to shave it and pluck it and wax it and laser it. Well, it makes sense if we are evolved higher primates. In fact, you may not know this, but we even now have just as many hair follicles as the chimpanzee, between 2 and 5 million. It's just that our hairs are so fine that you don't really see them nearly as much. Some of us are hairier than others, but we have roughly the same amount of follicles as the chimpanzee, our primate relative. But here we're not talking evolution, we're talking design. A design that makes no practical sense. I would make it so that our sun does not give us cancer. Our primary source of light can kill us. Whose idea was that? Just in this country, about 700,000 people are diagnosed with sun-related skin cancer annually. Our source of natural light gives us cancer. I would skip the creams and the sprays, and I would just build the sunblock right into the design. I might even make it solar powered. Wouldn't that be nice? You know, those nights when you got deadlines and you can't, I mean, I love to sleep. I'm sure you love to sleep. But, you know, there are times when you don't have the time to sleep. You just charge up. Like the sun, you got a capacitor, you fire it up, and you can get your stuff done. I would build that in. I would create DNA so that genetic copying errors did not produce a bunch of problems. Mutation mechanisms responsible for stuff like cancer, Huntington's, ALS, hemophilia, other terrible genetic diseases. The way our genes copy is that it just creates baggage, more and more and more. And these copy errors continue on and on and on. And before you know it, you got so much stuff in there that can be problematic. In fact, in a few ways, the way our genes copy is not even as effective as a standard Xerox machine. The American College of Rheumatology reports there are about 790,000 total knee replacements every year. Just in the US, I'll bet there are some knee replacements in this room. And of course, if we see this in terms of us being evolved primates, it makes sense, right? We used to be quadrupeds, and now we're bipeds, larger brains, we're carrying more weight, more stress on the joints, right? But I'm not talking evolution, I'm talking intelligent design. Cartilage design that grinds away so soon in our lives. 1/4 of a U.S. adults suffer from arthritis. I don't know about you, my knees are killing me. I'm 55. The stairs are like a whole conversation. Whatever's upstairs, do I need it that bad, right? I'm doing that. I'd either make longer lasting cartilage, I would make knees out of indestructible material, or at least I would again make everything swappable, modular. We swap out the parts of other stuff, everything from cars to hard drives to sewing machines, right? Well, why in the world wouldn't we do it with us? I would skip the appendix. The appendix is part of the human digestive system, okay? Which is weird because it does not digest anything. This is an organ with no function. It's attached to another blind sac that's called the cecum. Now, these are little greenhouses for bacteria. Through the lens of evolution, it makes sense why it's there. We understand it. The bacteria in the appendix helps other creatures, rabbits and other animals, digest wood. We do not digest wood. We actually have the capacity, the possibility, but those don't work in our body. We have the organs for it, but they are non-functioning. Just this tiny little spot gathering bacteria that we don't actually need. Sometimes the bacteria party gets way out of hand and a colony of really nasty bacteria ramps up. We develop the lethal infection, appendicitis. The appendix swells until it bursts. I'm going to show you an actual appendix being removed. You can watch if you want, or you can wait for the all clear. But here's an appendix swollen and about to burst, hugely inflamed, being removed, right? We have to have it removed or else we will die in horrible pain. Who came up with this design? Why install a useless hand grenade of doom on our intestine? And speaking of pain, I would give us a pain dial. Right? A working pain sensitivity gauge. We'd have a minimum and a maximum, and there would be a spectrum. Now, pain has a purpose. It's to let our brains know that we are injured, how badly we are injured, and it's also a motivator. It wants to motivate us to try to avoid the injury. It actually has a lot of utility as a survival mechanism. It's both messenger and motivator. But once we feel that pain, often unthinkable, agonizing pain, once we know it's there, what's the point? Break a leg, you cut yourself on barbed wire, you get horribly burned in a fire, and the pain says you are terribly injured. What do? What's the next thing we do? We rush to someone who can medicate the pain away. Why the middleman between us and relief? I don't get that. Why lock people into misery and tears and screams when they already know that they are injured? My intelligent design would be a misery reduction device built right into us. Maybe it only activates after we get hurt, right? So the motivation part is still there. We don't want to be too reckless. Speaking of pain management, how about this little slice of heaven? The epidural. An invasive pain regulator most commonly associated with childbirth, administered from the outside because we don't have this device inside. Why do women need pain prevention in the delivery room? Because there is a bad birthing blueprint. Please explain the intelligence of this design. And let me say enough here to make my point without putting you off, right? 9 long months of pregnancy, which are miserable enough. Let us deliver the baby's head through an opening, a circle of bone that is smaller than the baby's head. Both bodies, the mother and the baby, get traumatized, often vaginal tears, nerve damage, muscle damage, damage to the pelvis floor, injury often to the baby, including head trauma, dislocated limbs, even fractures. Almost 280,000 women die in childbirth every year. In the 21st century, 800 a day. That's a death every 2 minutes. Now, granted, modern medicine has dropped that number to about 1,200 in the US, but it's still 1,200 people in the age of modern medicine. And how about this potential side effect? For some women, the trauma of childbirth can cause a condition called fistula, where the pressure of the baby's head cuts off blood flow to part of the vaginal wall. That tissue, not getting blood, dies. Then it rots away and leaves a hole. And the woman gets the joy of leaking urine and or feces out of her body for the rest of her life. Oh yeah, I think we could do better. Like the kangaroo. Why didn't we get the options that the kangaroo got? The kangaroo is awesome. Check this out. From Dr. Hafer's book, animals like kangaroos give birth to a very small embryo-like young that are placed in a pocket on the outside of the mother's body. This is where they continue their development. The kangaroo fetus is born into the pouch at about 4 weeks. Warm and comfy, this pouch, right into the pouch, 4 weeks, 1 month. It's about the size of a jelly bean. Imagine delivering that piece of cake, no problem. The pouch already has a nipple ready for feeding externally. When the joey grows to 6 months, it can exit the pouch. It can come back to the pouch for another 6 months. Come and go. Come and go. Gait privileges for the little baby kangaroo. It can come and go as it wants. We could design that for people. Just come and go. Just come and go. And of course, we would have the option available so that men could give birth. We would give this to men as well so we could share the load. No discomfort, no morning sickness, no labor pains, no screaming in the delivery room, no epidural or Lamaze, no tearing, breaking, squeezing, injuring, death. Let's do better. We have a better design. Speaking of the human reproductive process, who designed the plumbing in this scenario? Why do we have the same canal for sex that we do for waste removal? Who puts the sewer and the water slide on the same ride? Who designed that? If I did not want men to have foreskins, I would not design them to have foreskins. I would have our bodies expel excess calories the moment we hit our daily requirement. Wouldn't that be nice? I've already eaten 2,000 calories. Would you like the cheesecake? Hell yeah. In my world, chocolate would be diet food. Wouldn't that be nice? Sugar would not add pounds. It would not cause diabetes. Think of all the health problems we could avoid if our bodies were just food processors instead of food warehouses. I would make everyone both left and right-handed. Whose design was this? Who would make a dominant? My right hand is my dominant hand. I can barely hold a butter knife with my left hand. Whose design is that? I would design our brains so we're not constantly forgetting things. And this is getting worse as I age. Hi, what's your name? 30 seconds later, fuck. What's his name? Where did I park? What's my password? What's that piece of information I just can't remember? The stupid. Our home and business computers have a storage device, or we have one in the cloud. It doesn't mean like we have to retrieve everything immediately. We don't have to have all the information swirling around. But if I need some info, I can say, okay, let's grab it. Let's access the Google Drive inside our skulls, and we could retrieve the information. Imagine that. We could run antivirus programs, say goodbye to mental health problems, cognitive impairment, Alzheimer's, depression, whatever. Be amazing. I would give us the ability to regenerate severed limbs. According to the National Institutes of Health, over 57 million people globally have some kind of limb amputation that was caused by trauma. And then we need expensive external replacements made from plastic, silicone, titanium. This guy got the better deal. He is the axolotl. He's a large salamander. He's also known as the Mexican walking fish. And he has the ability to regenerate limbs or even his tail. With that regrown tail, he can also regrow his own spinal cord, the backbone, and all of the muscles. It's remarkable. Scientists are actually studying the axolotl to try to decode the genes, which might help us someday scientifically do the same for other people. But I would build regeneration right into the design. Here's one that just popped into my head the other day when I was at a conference and I was riding a hotel elevator. I would make farts smell like croissants. If we have to have farts, really? Croissants, fresh bread, give me something, okay. Beyond us, beyond our own bodies, there's so much design in the world that I think makes no sense. And in my own work as an activist, I hear a lot of this kind of thing. Look at the trees, like proof of design. Look at the awe and wonder. And there is much to be awed at, and there is much wonder and beauty in the world. See how nature is so finely tuned to accommodate life. The birds and the fish and the insects and the sunlight and the clouds and the rain. It's lovely. It must all be the product of the painter's brush. But we could probably do better, don't you think? Why would you build a system that can collapse when a single brick gets pulled from the bottom? I would make sure that the planet we live on was not constantly trying to kill us. No massive wildfires that horribly kill, burn to death humans and animals, and they destroy homes and habitats, and they choke up the atmosphere. Entire towns wiped out by tornadoes and hurricanes, that's preventable. Why would you have those lives lost, communities decimated? I'd prevent that. Volcanoes killing tens of thousands of people at a time with lava and heat and floods and pyroclastic flows. How many lives are needlessly lost because this planet was designed with a boiling center? The Indian Ocean tsunami of 2004 killed 230,000 human beings in a day. My world would not allow for mass drownings. 70% of the Earth's surface is ocean, uninhabitable by humans. 99% of the water on Earth is undrinkable. I would make all water livable, and I would make all water drinkable because I could. Under the surface of those waters, I would not create blind fish and then give them eyes. What a sick joke. Psych, here's some eyes. They don't work. Have a good day. I would not make flightless birds and then give them wings. And chickens are not the only ones who got the shaft on this one. The ostrich, the kiwi bird, the penguin, right? They're just teased. They have, they have wings, but they cannot fly, no. I would create dogs to live 100 years. Or at least as long as we do. What a sick joke. Ugh. No, cats I'm not worried about. Cats are gods anyway, they're eternal. And I totally saw you coming, too. Anybody have my cat is a god, he is a deity. He just walks around and looks down at us mortals, and allows us to be in his presence. I would not make ocean creatures that can drown. What's that about? I am going to make you live in the ocean and you will have to surface for air? That makes no sense. I would not build a world where animals had to eat other animals, often while they are still alive. How terrible and tremendously cruel and not necessary. I could do better. Look, I would make veggies meat flavored, right? Like veggies fortified to taste like deer and caribou and wild boar and all that stuff, right? Same great taste and texture, protein, vitamins, but without the terror and trauma and shredding of eating your prey alive. And this could work for all animals, including the human animal. We could just grow non-meat meat. Say, honey, hang on, I'm going out to the garden. I'm going to harvest some rack of lamb. It's ripe, ready to go. I pluck it, nobody gets hurt. It's perfect, intelligent design. It's all gain, no pain. This is kind of an intense slide. You can look away if you want, but I'm going to show you a parasite that lives in the human eye. It is called the Loa Loa worm. To survive, it must exist inside the eyeball. I think I'd skip this page in the playbook. I would not conjure parasitic mushrooms called cordycepses. This is also known as the zombie mushroom. These little treasures will infect ants. They get into their brains, they eat the inside, and then they grow out of the ant skull and they release spores that infect other unsuspecting ants, and the mushroom embeds, eats the brain, grows out, and on and on. Who thinks that shit up? Who came up with this scenario? This is a horror movie.
It actually is now a horror show. It's called The Last of Us.
Okay, I'm Googling that. So, check out the antenna on this snail. Those are not antennae. That's a parasitic flatworm. It's called the green-banded broodsack. It has filled up the stalk of the snail, and it flashes colors to make the snail's head look attractive, like a caterpillar. And then the predator birds are flying over, and they see this, and they go, yum. They come down, they eat the snail. The parasite releases its eggs into the bird droppings so they can hatch and infect other snails. Yeah, I would skip this one in the design book. I'd probably skip flatworms altogether. Couple more. Did you know that the giraffe has a laryngeal nerve? It connects the brain to the larynx. About 12, maybe 15 inches is as far as it needs to go in a giraffe. But in reality, the laryngeal nerve travels all the way down the stalk of the neck, wraps around the heart, and has to travel all the way back up to connect to the larynx. 12 to 15 feet. Massively unnecessary and inefficient. Evolutionarily, we can see how it happened, but design? I would do away with mass extinction events, and there have been several in the history of history, as we see massive amounts of extinction. Right now, there are 15,000 species on the brink of extinction. Scientists estimate that at least 99% of all species of plants and animals that ever lived are now extinct. Somebody tell me, who builds endangerment and extinction into their master plan? Now, as I get close to the end of my presentation here, this is where the ID crowd, the intelligent design crowd, brings out the PhD types, okay? And in this country, they are almost all, Bible believers pitching the Christian God. And they say, well, you know, God's off the hook because the efficient stuff, the bizarre, the cruel and awful stuff, all of that exists. Because thousands of years ago, a couple of garden nudists chatted up a talking snake before they engaged in a rebellious act of fruit munching, which angered God so much that he just said, screw it, and he handed the paperwork over to his arch nemesis. And he said, fine, you take over. I'm going to take my ball and go home, right? So those looking up to the designer, the blueprint author, the maker, the all-knowing, all-loving Father, and we ask why. What's the response we get? It's our fault. All of the bad stuff, God good, us bad, right? Because we were born sinners. We are the bad kids who went in and broke the fine china, and now we have to walk barefoot on the shards, and when we get injured, it's our fault. You think about God creating fallible children and then punishing them, damning them for being fallible, creating them imperfect and then damning them for acting imperfectly, the equivalent of taking a live hand grenade and throwing it into a nursery and blaming the babies when the bomb goes off. Then there's the whole Mother Teresa thing about suffering building our character. Intelligent design has this built-in protection mechanism for ills and evils, because only against the great evil can God demonstrate and cultivate his great good. The designer is proving his love and goodness through third-degree burns, flash floods, war, domestic abuse, child leukemia. I am sorry. I don't buy it. Examples like those are what John W. Loftus rightly calls horrendous suffering. He published a book on this very subject back in 2021 where he addresses and dismantles the idea that we are intelligently designed, but horrendous suffering can be excused in some ways where God gets off the hook. Mysterious ways, free will, fallen world, building character, blah, blah, blah. There's no scenario where all of this nonsense actually makes sense. Why would God create us as a species where we constantly get kicked in the balls, right? And if you will excuse an extremely awkward segue back to the original point I was making, and this is the best I could do, let's come back to that first slide. Let's go for a second. I want to come back to my original complaint letter to the manager. And I want to get technical about the testicle. Most of us know why the human sperm production system has to be housed outside of the core of our body, because our main body temperature is simply too hot. So to achieve the 3-degree drop that is necessary, the testes are kept separately in a pouch called the scrotum. It is also known as the scrotal sac. Another medical term for this is the wrinkle purse. The intelligent designer thought it would be a good idea to load this bag with uber-sensitive pain veins and then place it in a spot that is monumentally easy to kick. Whose design is this? Other animals got a better deal on the testicle front. Frog testes are protected. They are way up inside the core of their bodies. I like the sound of that. Check out this option. Rats, mice, hares, guinea pigs, they can make their testes external when it's time to reproduce, but when they don't need to reproduce, they can retract them up into their bodies. They can retract them in retractable balls. That is the best idea ever. Let's do that. At the very least, if I was the designer and I was still certain that human testicles had to be housed outside of the body, I would at least give them the same protections that we gave the heart and the lungs, right? Right? Ball cage. Give me something. And with my final thought, let me go all existential on you. It is true that we are far from perfect, imperfect, often struggling, evolved higher primates navigating an imperfect world. It is true. My body is laid out in its current form because of the way I'm related to all other things. Not designed, I am obviously evolved. Yet, I can look at those imperfections. I can look at the fact that we are flawed and we have our challenges and problems. But I can also still feel tremendous gratitude and thanks and awe and wonder that I am alive, because it is amazing to be alive. How is that not still wonderful? I'm not the center of all things. The universe was not created with me in mind. I'm not the child of a cosmic king who's going to go on a divine mission and die and go up and get a mansion with a crown and jewels and pearly gates and streets of gold. There's no reason to believe any of that. This is a finite moment on this finite planet. I am imperfect and may not go on. Okay, sure. I can literally live with that. The perfect is sometimes the enemy of the good, and it's good to be alive. Drawing breath, experiencing the world and each other, connecting like we're connecting in this room. Generating our own sense of purpose. Who am I? What's my identity? What do I want? What are my goals? What do I want to build or take down and change and rebuild? What do I want my life to look like? Making the most of these precious temporary seconds. I mean, That's wonderful enough. In many ways, we have had to become the designers with the bodies we have, with the things we learn, the vulnerabilities that we share as human beings, the imaginations we use, the purpose that we generate, the love we demonstrate from birth to death and in every freaking second in between. And we hopefully are intelligently designing lives that are worth living, worth sharing, and worth understanding as they are. I give more credit to the apologist, I think, than they may give themselves. I will bet each of these ID apologists could quickly and easily come up with their own improvements. They, instead of cowing and bowing to the intelligent designer, instead of deferring, right, to the designer that thought it would be great to put nipples on men for some reason, instead of doing that, I would encourage these guys, take 5 minutes, go into a room, make your own lists. I will bet they could come up with better design. Agents of curiosity and challenge, honesty for human improvement by human beings. I think they've got the creativity. They have the working minds. They have the opportunity. But will they have the integrity, the honesty, the desire, the will? And perhaps the larger question is this: do they have the balls? Thank you all so very much. Thank you.
All right, Seth, thank you so much. That was an amazing presentation. We have time for 2 questions. I know it's going to be really hard to pick. If you have a question for Seth, raise your hand. Or we can go home. I mean, I'm cool with that. All right, question right here.
I guess I was going to ask, in your experience, is anybody make an argument for design that isn't pushing their own personal religion? Is there anybody that you're aware of out there making an argument for design? Everybody that talks about design is like, okay, this is design, therefore my Christian God, therefore this design. But is there any actual arguments out there for design that don't involve their own personal religion that you're aware of?
That's actually an astute observation. We were just talking recently about an apologist named William Lane Craig. He's responsible for something called the Kalam cosmological argument. Everything that begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. And then he takes this Grand Canyon-sized leap and says, by the way, it's Jesus, right? It's just wild. I mean, I have yet to meet anybody beyond the, hey, I think there's something out there. I hear a lot of that, and that's not attached to anything. But usually the people who come at me who are specifically saying we are designed with purpose, they have a designer in mind. And it's very much usually that's the first step into the rest of the conversation. Am I causing that feedback? That is usually the first step, and they're leading you to a specific deity. But honestly, on a planet of 8 billion people, there may be some who do that. Sure, who knows? Somebody else, quickly? Thank you for your time, by the way.
Thank you. So, of the people promoting intelligent design, like on the large scale, like the ones you showed in the pictures, do you think that they really believe what they're saying? Do you think that it's a grift for any of them? Like, what would the proportions be on that? Are they all really genuine and just confused, in our opinion?
You know, I've had this conversation. Anybody heard of Aaron Ra? I was talking to Aaron Ra a few years ago, and I'm like, he's convinced that they're all shills. I think he thinks they're all like full of crap, and they got a brand and they're making money, and I don't go that far. I'm not clairvoyant. I don't know how their mechanisms work. I came out of a defense culture where I could not be persuaded otherwise. Until I decided I was going to take a journey, I was in a defense posture. And so I found ways to rationalize the irrational. Human beings are great at this. You know, there's a book out called Why Smart People Believe Dumb Things. And it's one of the reasons why I continue to say there are people in the atheist movement who continue to call religion a mental illness or religious people stupid. You're kidding me. You know, some of the most intelligent, lovely people on the planet believe in a God. And so to reduce it in that way, or to say it's stupid, therefore they are stupid. But the brain is modular. And many of the forces of indoctrination when you're a child are very powerful. And then the cultural reinforcement and the community reinforcement and the consequences for leaving a religious faith and all of these other things. The desire for comfort and ritual and all of these other things. So do I think they believe their own stuff? I think there are some out there where they couldn't make it in the regular science world. I feel this way about some Christian musicians. I spent 12 years in Christian radio. I spent 12 years in Christian radio. I know there were some people who couldn't hack it in the top 40 market, and so they said, oh, Jesus, and they went over and carved a niche out in another market. I know it, and I'm sure it happens. Mostly I try not to presume. I try to address the ideas and challenge the people. What drives that machine, I simply do not know. But I do want to leave you again with this idea that, you know, it's scary. There are going to be some people in this room who, I'm an atheist, you may be a God believer. Great. You may hold to a specific faith, or you may be on a journey. I love that. You know, whether you're a hardcore or whether you're an atheist, I think life is a journey. The minute we stop taking the journey, we die. We die in our hearts and minds. Make every day a discovery. When I sign something for kids, they'll come up, these young people, they're just filled with curiosity. I will say, make every day a discovery. Because I was raised in a culture where I was told what to think. I wasn't trained how to think. They rigged the game. Go out and ask questions. But if you come back with the wrong answer, you're wrong. So go back and ask more questions until you come back with the answer that is right. Well, that's not fostering real curiosity. But to be alive and to say, what works? What doesn't work? What do I think? Will it change tomorrow? That's not weakness. This idea that being the mighty oak, I will never change. I'm a mighty oak. I am stalwart. I am never moving. This is not the flex people think it is. When we come across better ideas, let's pursue those, whatever the consequences. And I make this promise. If a God of any kind is revealed tomorrow, I want to know that. You want to know that, right? That's information we need. And then we ask the next question. What is it like? Is it a he, she, it? Is it a moral creature worth following or supporting or rejecting or whatever? Every day. It's a tough way to live sometimes. And there are a lot of hard consequences sometimes. But I'll tell you, I would never go back. I would never go back into the cocoon. I would never go back into the safe spot. I would rather live in a slightly less comfortable, slightly less perfect, slightly less guaranteed happy ending, but more honest and authentic life. Because, man, when you make every day a discovery, it's like the journey itself becomes a kind of destination. It's the best gift you can give to yourself. A life that is a journey and a life that is authentic to you, where you're not living in somebody else's skin, you're not carrying their mantle, you're not living according to their expectations. You wake up in the morning and you say, who am I? What are my values, and what can I learn about myself, others, and the world today? That's a gift. It is a gift you give to yourself minute by minute. And that's my encouragement to you. You inspire me that you are those people on the journey, living life on your terms. Go out, shake things up, be who you are, let the world see it, and all my best. Thank you so much for having me today. Before everybody leaves, if anybody would like to do like a big group picture, I always think they're fun. There are some people who are like, they crawl here in the prone position because there are people that they are not on their radar yet, and I get that. But if you would like to take a group photo real fast, just everybody look this way, we'll all smile. If not, hide behind a head or turn or duck, and I promise we won't betray your trust today.
Let's get her, let wheelchair.
are beautiful people, aren't we? Where do you want me, folks? Like here? Like, exactly. Can I just hang with you guys here? Spot.
All right, 1, 2, 3, cheese. All right, this up, Sarah. All right, and then as my aunt would say, okay, a cutie, 1, 2, 5. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'll have you send that to me if it's okay.
For those of you who are interested in donating to KC Oasis to keep amazing presenters like Seth coming to share their presentations with us, keep our coffee flowing, you can go kcoasis.org/donate to help keep us funded. Send us a Venmo. We've got our dip jars out in the back today. And one more time, the amazing JJ.
I pay time, I pay money, this day's fine, I have nothing to lose. I must think, I must ponder, I stay home, but I wander away. It's fantastic to stay home and wander the world. It's fantastic to stay home and wander the world. The knight jumps, the queen dances, the board moves, the players lay on the floor. Whoa, the mime moves, delights the pieces, the game plays until the end of time. It's fantastic to stand here and rotate the world. It's fantastic to stand here and rotate the world. Concentration is difficult to bear. Just lay back, relax, soar through the air. Quit feeling guilty for wanting to take yourself there. Enjoy the music, the notes, they come out and pay. I might fret, I might worry, I might find I can walk the line. I might choose, I might linger, I fear not failure of my goals. It's fantastic to stay home and wander the world. It's fantastic to stand there and rotate the world. Thank you all.
Fantastic. JJ, before you head out, tell us about playing with the Fantastics.
Oh, so I play electric guitar in a band and don't sing.
Boo.
They're happy.
When is this
It's better
happening,
this way.
JJ?
It's
Works-
better.
When is it? It's coming up though, right?
We've got a bunch of shows coming up, and the one I think of is for the first year ever. Although we played at Boulevardia before, this year the Fantastics are on the main stage
Wow. All right.
on Saturday at 2 o'clock.
Saturday at 2 o'clock.
And for other gigs, you know, it's the Fantastics with a PH, and we've got some other stuff coming up. It's going to
Okay.
be super fun.
Okay, and so I know you're going to put it on our private page for all the people who just joined our private page, right? Ooh, Jason will make sure that happens because I'm like Seth and I'm going to forget in 2 minutes. So cool. All right, thank you, JJ, for playing your amazing music. For those of you who are like, wow, I'm hungry. I just learned amazing things and I want to be like an axolotl and regenerate the skin from the places I've lost it because I'm a grown-up and that happens. We are going to eat lunch while we continue the conversations that we've learned with all these amazing things and the music and the coffee and the donuts and all these things. But there's a lot of us today. So it's going to be kind of a choose your own adventure. So find those amazing people that you met, either because you're shoulder buddies in your seats or because you said hello earlier. If you're like, your shirt is amazing. I'm looking at you, by the way, yes. So make a friend with someone. If you don't have a someone, you have as much time as you want to make a someone and go have lunch with them. And here's some options. I'll make sure this is on the screen for a few minutes when you want it back. And please continue the conversation. We're going to tell you what's happening here in a few minutes for next week. But just a reminder, I know we had coffee and we had donuts and snacks. If you can just make sure those items get to a trash can, that would be very helpful for our team cleaning up afterward. And be sure you come back next week. We are going to have a panel discussion, personal, social, professional patriarchy, and then Clearly Guilty will be our musicians for next week. Yes, I know. I've heard them, I think, just once before, so I'm looking forward to that coming again. And we want to say thank you so much. JJ, thank you for playing for music for us. Seth, yes, clap for JJ, thank you. And then again, round of applause. I know Seth is in the back. Seth, thank you so much for speaking for us today. If you haven't already gotten your merch, your book, your signature, your photo from Seth, Seth will be at the back table ready to greet you and give you some swag. And thank you, all of you here in our community center and all of you online for joining us today, or if you're watching in the future on internet land. We appreciate your time and your presence here in our Kansas City Oasis community. And we will see you guys next week. Take care.